Welcome everybody then to the 2025 Mazda MX5 RF. This is probably the millionth time you're hearing me say this, but I've never lived with this vehicle in the winter. And when I heard that this car is going to stay through the winter, I had to give it a shot. Now let's talk about the experience I had while driving this cute little fun sports car in peak winters. So, what is the MX5 RF? Well, it's essentially a lightweight sports car that Mazda has been making for almost over 30 years, and this is its latest version, the ND3. The ND3 got some minor visual differences compared to the ND2, but you have to have a very keen eye to figure that out. Otherwise, it sticks to its main ethos, just fun, compact, rear-wheel drive, just brings a big joy to the driver every time they get behind the wheel. Now, I've driven the MX5 quite a lot of times now, but I've never driven it in winter, and when I got to know that this car is going to be on the fleet, I had to give it a chance, and I couldn't have chosen a better / worst week to try this car out, depending if you're optimistic or pessimistic, because I believe Toronto got one of its worst snowstorms in a very long time. And I have to say, I was very careful, but I was very daring, and this car made it through most of the obstacles I threw at it, and I was very surprised. Yes, of course, this car does have winter tires on it, and I think that's very essential for any car during the winter season. But this car really surprised me, my friends, anyone I told them stories about that. Yes, I did take this car out during peak snowstorms and it made it through like a champ. Yes, the boot isn't still very big. I did take it for a small road trip as well, and it took a backpack, a duffel bag, and maybe 1-2 extra small bags, and that's about it. Very tough to pack for even 2 people, because 2 people is all that will fit inside here. Interior space is still not the biggest. It is a bit on the cramped size, not too many storage options as well. The 2-liter engine though is a gem. I think it has lots of low end torque, mid end torque, high end torque. You can rev it through the rev line. It's a buzzy motor, but I think it does really well. But again, more on that later. But yeah, overall I would say that if you are daring enough, you can live a winter through with the MX5. Yes, you do have to exercise some precaution in some tricky situations, but 99% of the chances, this car, it will make it through most of the snowstorms that you can try to push it through it. I'm now behind the wheel of the 2025 Mazda MX5 RF. So the numbers are the same. This has a 2-liter naturally aspirated gas engine, produces about 180 horsepower, is only rear-wheel drive, 6-speed manual, does have an LSD as well, and it does weigh about 950 kilos, which is, I think, one of the lightest cars on sale today. Let's see how this convertible drives. So if I set off, and you'll instantly notice that low end torque is really good. You never really have to floor this car in any capacity to just get going, and it's very easy to drive in city limits or on the highway or just daily drive, which I have been driving literally almost every single day for everything, just getting groceries or going to work or just anywhere. I have been taking this car everywhere, and it snowed like crazy on 2 or 3 days. Like, there's legit snowstorm, and basically my experience is mostly about that, because I have driven this very car already, and you can watch that video. So yeah, in the snowstorms, I would say that the lightness of this car really helps. It does not dig into deep into snow, so it's very hard to get beached. The rear wheel drive is a bit more tricky than front wheel drive or all wheel drive, definitely. But if you do keep the momentum going, which means you do have to abuse the clutch and the throttle, but as long as you keep the momentum going, this car will make it through everything. Honestly, I've driven this car over the last 2 weeks in some very slushy terrain, but this car has come out like a champ. I told my friends, I told my family, nobody expected the MX5 to come out with shining colors, but this just did it. Yes, you do, like I said, you have to adjust your driving style, and the big hero of this car is, for this 2025 car, they have that little sport traction mode where you enable this the traction control. There's like a checkered flag beside it, so that kind of allows you to slip the wheel, but it does not allow you to go full on crazy mode with wheel spin, so it cuts the power when it takes too much spin, but lets you spin just enough to let you keep on going and just dig enough to get the grip for the wheels to keep on going. Honestly, I've been driving on that that sport traction mode during winter storms, and this car has achieved everything I've thrown at it, and it's come out, and it's literally blown my mind. Honestly, I had a lot of apprehension. I was mentally ready to be stuck at least once or twice, but this car just made it, and it's a hero. I drove it upwards of Toronto as well to Huntsville, which was like about 400 odd kilometers drive up and down during snow, icy conditions, and this car did everything like a champ. Like, I cannot emphasize how good this car is in winters. The tires are a bit too thin, so maybe a wider track would have helped with a bit more grip, but I'm not complaining. With these Pirelli winter tires, this car is potent enough to handle snowstorms, winter storms, which is very, very commendable. And it's still fun. So I put it down a gear. Oh, it still pulls. So it's very, very fun. On the highways, I was getting 6.5 to 7 liters per 100, cruising on the speed limit, which is again very, very commendable. What can I say? Honestly, driving this vehicle during snowstorms has really, really opened my horizon, my perspective on what rear wheel drive manual cars can do, and I have newfound respect for the MX5. Like, honestly, I think this car can be a one car solution provided you don't need to put in too much luggage or need a very practical car. This car will accomplish whatever you throw at it. In conclusion then, living with the MX5 during the winters, honestly, I'm sure it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's definitely not impossible. Yes, this car does have winter tires, as I mentioned, and that does help things a lot. I drove it through snowstorms. In fact, I am really literally around snowbanks right now, and this car is still performing very, very decently. You do need to modulate the throttle, you do need to modulate the clutch, but once you get a hang of it, it's very, very easy. The lightweight, the accurate steering make it very predictable, and you 100% have control all the time on what the vehicle is doing, what the vehicle is going to do when it hits a patch of snow or ice. Honestly, this can be a one-car solution provided you don't need any sort of practicality. I've loved my tenure with the MX5 during the snowstorms, and I have to thank Mazda for keeping this in the fleet and letting me have a go. When I have to buy a car in the market, this experience with the MX5 will definitely help me make a wise decision, because honestly, I feel I could just live with this car throughout the year.